Hello, you are listening to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. Your host, Erica Sacosio, invites you to join her community of passionate and inspiring leaders in the ECE field, where she discusses, reflects, and shares the best ways to invest in our children, families, teachers, and community. Because after all, we know they are the heartbeat of any successful program.
Hey guys, Erica Sacosio here with the Child Care Director's Chair podcast. If this is your first time coming onto our show, welcome. We hope that you will stay and become part of our community. If you're one of my loyal listeners, I love you. You know I love you so much. I got to give a big shout out to Michigan, Texas, Georgia, Maine, Minnesota, of course, my home state, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, North Carolina, Florida, Arizona. You guys literally show up every single day on the charts for us. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you. If you keep showing up daily, so will I. So today I'm pretty excited. It's Wednesday, so that means it's guest spot day. And the really cool thing is she's actually from Rhode Island, and so am I. So we could have done this in person, but we didn't. We opted to do it this way. And I'm super excited because not only are we both from Rhode Island, we're both named Erica, spelled the same way and everything. So I'd like to welcome Erica Campbell to our show.
Hello. Hi, Erica.
Hey, so tell folks a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So, in a nutshell, my name is Erica. I am first generation Cape Verdean. I am a mother. I have 4 boys, 2 bonus children. I am a wife. I am a teacher, and I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization called the Mini Entrepreneurs of Rhode Island. And I'm currently a teacher at the Met High School in Providence. Shout out to the Met. My students are graduating tomorrow. They're seniors, so super excited to be graduating.
Yes, that's super exciting. We have our preschool graduation on Friday. So yes, it is graduation week here in Rhode Island. Also, I didn't know, Erica, I am also half Cape Verdean. My mom is Italian, my dad is Cape Verdean. So here we are, 3 for 3 in the first 5 seconds of the show. So
I love
here
that.
we go. So you're a teacher, so that's super exciting. We love teachers here. Most of the folks on our show are child care directors or child care owners, some in the after school space. And I thought it would be really cool to talk a little bit about what you're doing with the youth, because I am all about supporting our community, our teachers, and you're a teacher and this is my community. So we're going to talk about it. So so tell me what inspired you to focus on building entrepreneur skills in children and youth.
So what inspired me was COVID. I think that COVID inspired a lot. It was 2020. I was teaching from home. My children were learning from home, and it was just such a crazy time. Probably one of the most challenging experiences that I've had throughout my entire educational career.
Me
We made
too.
it work though, right?
Me too, girl.
There were days I was like, life just completely shifted. It did a whole 180. So my children at the time were 4 years old and 2 years old. So my 4-year-old was in pre-K. And I remember him saying to me one day, he was like, Mommy, I really want a monster truck. Can you please just buy me a monster truck? Mind you, he had 15 other monster trucks or more than that. And the thought just came to my head, and I said, you could buy the monster trucks yourself. And he was like, how do I do that? And I just decided to teach him about entrepreneurship. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. Like I said, I'm first generation in this country. And my dad worked really hard. He's a business owner, worked really hard to get to where he is. No shade to my dad at all, but unfortunately, he didn't have the time to invest in my education because he was just so busy putting his head down, working to provide for our family. And I wanted to take a different approach. I wanted to be able to invest in my kids with the knowledge and the skill set that I've gained over the years. I said, you know what, why not invest in our kids at a really young age and start to teach them young? So I decided to just expose my children to entrepreneurship at the age of 4. We created what he called Bubba's Snack Shack. It was in my backyard. People came at staggered intervals. We built a business in 2 weeks. He called himself the CEO, and he just gravitated to the experience so well and absolutely loved it and was like, can we do this next summer, please? So being an educator, I said, well, if we're going to do this again, we need to bring this to the community. So I rented a hall. I didn't really know if the idea would bite. I invited family and friends to be part of it. We had 10 mini entrepreneur businesses, and it was an amazing experience that now we are a 501c3 with 40 mini entrepreneur businesses for last year's event, and we're going to have 60 this year. So
That's
that's
just
how it started.
So incredible. I love every part of that story. First of all, who's going to say no to a cute 4-year-old? I don't care what he's selling, I am buying. So we'll start with that. And I do love exactly what you said about it really empowering children at any age. And that's something that really is important to me too, like that impact and letting them know, like, you don't have to wait to be a grown up to make an impact in your community. Like, you matter right now. You don't have to wait for to graduate or to get a degree. You matter right now. You matter at 2, you matter at 4, you matter at all the ages. So I love that. I think too, entrepreneurship teaches so much beyond traditional academic learning.
Yes.
Right. And I think that, well, maybe not so much at the Met School, because the Met School is an amazing school and it's, like a charter school. So maybe their curriculum is a little bit more expansive. Children are not really getting home economics anymore, or how to open a bank account, or like things that you need to know in real life. I mean, I learned algebra, but still haven't used it yet,
Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very true. And I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to introduce my children to entrepreneurship and the community, because you're exposed to so many essential skills that you're developing at a young age that you can then transfer when you're older, right? So you're being exposed to financial literacy, you're being exposed to critical thinking skills, which is extremely, like, it's such an important skill to have. And you're being exposed to that at such young age through project-based learning. And that's where kids become really excited and engaged in their learning, when they can be really hands-on. So there's so much I could say about it, and there's so much success behind what I've been doing for the past year and a half. So happy to get into that.
Yeah. So that's a great segue. So share some examples of successful enrichment programs that provide that entrepreneurial spirit among children and youth. So share some of those successes.
Yeah. So as I had mentioned, we started off as the Mini Kids Entrepreneur Fair, where we now have after school programs, and we're running our second annual summer camp, which basically provides kids with a platform to learn about entrepreneurship in order to create their business, to have a platform to sell at the fair. So our programs right now really teach kids, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? How do entrepreneurs use their resources? It teaches them the basics of financial literacy, money management, saving. We even talk about investing when we start to get into the middle school age. But our programs are really awesome because it's getting kids to think creatively and to really be innovative. And what's really awesome is you can see their development over time in their business. So for example, my son started with his snack shack, and he sold like a variety of drinks and snacks. But now his business is actually being the author of his own coloring book. So the evolution of his business is just absolutely amazing. And now he collaborated with his younger brother, and they're called Creative Brothers. And my son makes informational coloring books. He went from like hand drawing a coloring book to then learning digital art on an app called Procreate, to doing a ton of research to learn about prominent leaders in the United States of America. And that whole combination alone was just so dope. And then my youngest son decided to create customized recycled crayons to go along with his coloring book. So it was kind of like a team effort. So the ideas just begin to grow, and it starts to unlock certain parts of their brain where they're like starting to get it. They're starting to make those connections. In the beginning, of course, it can be confusing, but entrepreneurship alone is a journey, right, of ups and downs. And it is confusing. And we have to let our kids know that it's okay if it's confusing. Dance in your discomfort. Be okay with that.
Yeah.
So I'm really big on sharing my vulnerabilities with kids. And in our summer camp, we talk a lot about like our glows and our grows. Adults struggle as well. It's okay for you to struggle, but through that struggle, you're gaining and you're learning so much throughout the process.
Yeah. I mean, I think when you make mistakes, that's where the growth comes from, right? And that's where the real rich learning comes from as well.
Yep.
And I love that your older son, like, look at that, like, leadership that came from that, where he's like, hey, and he led his younger brother and said, come join me, right? So I love those leadership opportunities that come along with that entrepreneurship. I think that that's really cool. So like you, in a certain way, like, so my grandparent were entrepreneurs. They owned a butcher shop up on Federal Hill. And then my uncle, and then his children worked there. And then my other uncle opened a business. So I think when children are around entrepreneurs, they instinctively have that mindset where I hate to say, but will come to a point where they're like, I'm not working for anybody ever again. I'm going to work for myself. Right. So I love that you're instilling that in children. And you said your mini kids fair goes from ages 4 to 14.
Yes, starts at
Yeah.
the very young age of 4 to 14. The plan is to incorporate high school for sure.
Yep.
Now that I'm going to be going to the organization full time, I think I had mentioned that I am a full time teacher, but I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but I'm going to be retiring. I'm graduating my students and I'm dedicating myself full time to the organization just to grow, because there's definitely demand for this within our community. And I'm seeing that more and more as parents are becoming aware of the organization. They're like, this is just so amazing. Like, I'm so excited to dive into this project with my child and work alongside them. And if the parent's unable to, that's why we have mentors in the community, people who are willing to kind of step up for a child and support. So, yeah.
I think too, for my listeners that are listening, Erica, why did you particularly select to have this on your podcast? And, I think that when we talk about creating amazing programs for children, it's things like this. And so I thought you were a great example. It's things like this innovation. We talk about having innovative programming. And this is a perfect example of that, of how just a small little idea continue to grow. And now it's, taken on a life of its own. But this is what sets you apart when you have great programs that inspire children, not only children though, inspired the teacher, right? The teacher said, you know what, I'm leaving this field, but I'm not really leaving the field. I'm going to do something bigger on a bigger level. And so that even just speaks, Erica, to your own personal and professional growth as a teacher. Like, you're like, gee, I could really, not, of course, the impact that you make at I'm sure is wonderful, but now you can reach beyond your 20 students in your classroom. Now you're reaching throughout your state and probably will continue to grow maybe nationally, right? Because I come from Rhode Island, I'm very intuitively aware, and I'm a business owner in Rhode Island, of the other agencies that are support agencies. So are you working with like the SBA, or are you working with the Center for Women in Enterprise? Are you working with any of those agencies?
Yeah, I have reached out to the Center of Women Enterprise, SEG also. Definitely when we were first becoming a nonprofit and I had no idea what I was doing. It's a learning process, right? And I'm so grateful for everything that I've learned, but they're definitely there to support and you have access to their resources. You're kind of like walking in blindly, and it's great to have organizations like that to just be like just a phone call or an email away to be able to support you and help you navigate through the process. So yeah, I have gotten in touch with them.
Yeah. As you grow, have you heard of the 10,000 Small Business Program?
Is that through RI Skills?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's run through CCRI and Goldman Sachs. So it's not really a startup program. It's more of a growth accelerator. Once you get everything going and stuff like that, there's some criteria, but once you get things going, that is also an amazing resource. So I just want to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, yes, of course. So what do you think are some key principles to keep in mind when designing entrepreneurships for different age groups? Because 4 to 14, that's a range. Yeah.
It is a range. So for the entrepreneur fair, we have kids ages 4 to 14, and they're all in one setting for 2 hours selling their product. But when you're trying to create a curriculum that's tailored to certain age groups, like our summer camp or our after school program, we break them up into cohorts. So typically right now we have an after school program for K through 2. We just finished a program for K through 2, and then we just finished one for 3 through 5. So we're kind of like breaking them up into cohorts because you can't make it such a wide, range of ages, right? And some of the things that we're doing with them is a lot of hands-on learning, because at that age, their attention span is much shorter. So you want to make sure that you're doing a lot of fun projects. We bring in guest speakers. We even bring in mini entrepreneurs. So we've had some of our 9 and 10-year-old kids go to the after school program and show them the products that they've created and explain the things that they've done. And the kids absolutely love that. And it just inspires them even more because they're seeing kids who look like them do it. Yeah. So now they're like, hey, why I can do it. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely been a huge success added to our curriculum.
Yeah, and so have you and I'm sorry because I'm also an entrepreneur, so my brain kicks into overload, so I do apologize. Have you thought is this part of your marketing plan? Are you going to reach out to child care centers because that's where the bulk of children are, and like send flyers or send an email to let folks know so they can get kids involved in what you're doing?
Yes, absolutely. So now that we're expanding, one thing that we have started to do already was we connected with the Providence Public School District and we received a list. So we're actively starting to go into schools now. End of the school year is approaching and just, releasing flyers, but definitely trying to get our outreach going. If anybody wants flyers, we just launched our new website. There's tons of information on there. But if you want a flyer, let me know and I'm happy to send that your way. So
Yeah,
we're in the
and we'll
process
share
of
you.
doing that.
Yeah, we'll share your website in the link below. So folks that are listening, if they want to connect with you guys, they'll be able to get to you really, really quickly. So what other ways can child care centers incorporate entrepreneur activities in their curriculum effectively?
That's something that we're actually actively working on because we're learning that there are a lot of schools and childcare centers that want this in their curriculum. So we're working on trying to create like kind of like pop-up workshops where if you would like us to come in, we can come in for maybe 1 or 2 days and kind of just like pop up, introduce it, and then see if there's a feel or a take for it. And if there is, we can talk about making a partnership to come in more regularly. I think what would be really awesome is we have our mini kids annual entrepreneur fair, but it would be really awesome if schools started to and childcare centers started to implement their own fair throughout the year. Also, where the kids can create their products within the center or within the school and then sell it to their small community. So that
Yeah.
could be a really cool way to embed it into the curriculum.
Yeah, and so at our center, so I have four core values. Families, number one, community is number two, passion for teaching is number three, professionalism is number four. And so we're very community focused. And so that's why I was asking those questions because not only can children like make a product and sell it, but maybe perhaps they can take the funds from the products that they sell and then invest it into something within their community, another nonprofit. I know at our school, our kids really get behind, especially in January when we do like our hibernation theme or unit. Um, we adopt polar bears, and that's like the animal the kids pick. But our goal was to adopt a polar bear. We ended up with 14 adopted polar bears. So children really love connecting with their community and seeing what it is that they what they can do, so they do get really excited about that. So it would be really awesome to tie not only how do you make a business, but then how do you be a good business, how do you be one that cares about their community. So let's talk.
I love that you said that because that's actually something that we're starting to work on for this annual mini kids fair, teaching our young children the importance of philanthropy and
Yeah.
giving back, right? So what I plan to do is have a list of different organizations and then have the kids choose which one would they like to give 15% of their proceeds to.
Yeah.
And if they don't have to choose from our list if they have one already in mind,
Hmm.
that's fine. But
Hmm.
if they have no idea, we'll
Sure.
have a list for them. Yeah. And we even plan to have nonprofit organizations at the fair. So if there's a connection there, then that's an organization
Yeah.
you can give to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
that
love that you
partnership.
said that
Yeah, of course, of course.
because
um
that's part of it.
Well, what, too, I think, being Rhode Island, we're so interconnected in Rhode Island. They say, well, like you're connected to somebody by three. I think in Rhode Island, you're connected by somebody by one, right?
Yeah.
We are literally
So true.
it's like a common denominator of one. So let's talk about the role of parents. Like what role do parents and caregivers play in supporting children during their entrepreneurial journey?
So for the Mini Kids Entrepreneur Fair, the parents definitely play a vital role where you're your child's mentor, right? You're working alongside your child, and some parents may say, "But I have no idea how to run a business." That's okay. The beauty of like we live in a society where I don't know is not an acceptable answer ever because there's so many like resources. We have
Hmm.
resources at the tips of our fingers, right? So we're able to access resources whenever we want to. And as an educator, I'm really big on telling my students that. it's okay to not know the answer. Just never say, I don't know. Say, I will find out, because you can, right? So if the parent's unsure on how to start this process up with their child, that's okay. We support. We offer a mini kids entrepreneur for a guidebook. We walk you through the steps. We have mentoring programs also where you can connect with us and we can support the process. But believe it or not, like, parents end up getting themselves so involved and so excited just to work alongside their child. And they see the growth within their child as well as the growth within themselves. You end up learning a lot through your children. You end up developing a lot of patience also, right? But it's really good, and it's just exciting. We definitely want the parents and encourage the parents to be super hands-on with their child. It allows a child to just really bond with the parent on a different level and connect with the parent. We live in such a fast-paced environment,
Yeah.
and work is always at the forefront. But when
Mhm.
you're involved in a project-based learning activity with your child, it just allows you to carve that time out to work alongside your child and like make it intentional. I think that's also one of the reasons why I really wanted to start this for me alone with my child, is because growing up, my parents were just constantly working and I didn't really have their attention. Again, no shade to my parents. I
Yeah,
love them.
yeah.
They're amazing. But, they immigrated to this country for a better life for me, and I'm really grateful for that. But I didn't really have them by my side as much. And I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I was able to pass that on to my kids. Thanks to where my parents got me, now I'm able to do
Mhm.
even more. So it makes us stop for a second and really just focus on helping our kids be creative and innovative, and seeing their excitement at the fair is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. So, and I think that enthusiasm, you're a smidge younger than me, but I think that enthusiasm doesn't change. So, my daughter Haley, we have our child care centers. We have three of them, and it's family owned and operated. But my daughter Haley, who I talk about on the show all the time, thank God she doesn't listen. She'd be mortified. But she's 25. She'll be 26 in October. She is one of my directors and we work together. And so it's so cool, not only working along the side of her, but watching how much she has grown and how much she really did learn about our family business, to the point where now she's like, hey, mom, I know we've been doing it this way for 25 years, but have you considered maybe doing it this way? So I love that. And I love that she gets excited and we go to conferences and she comes with me. And when we go to promote the podcast, we go out to different early childhood conferences, and she's meeting other industry leaders and thought people throughout the country. And so it's so cool to see that in your own child. So whether they're 5 or 25, there's just some magic in it. So I agree with what you say there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you created that platform for her, which is amazing. Like, you
Yeah.
created that space for her to be able to exist in it.
What resources or support systems do you think that are available for childcare centers looking to integrate some type of program? Maybe even if it's not the entrepreneurship program, because again, you're at the Met, which is an amazing school. What type of resources do you think are available to integrate some kind of cool programs, whether it's entrepreneurship or any other type of additional programming into their center? What resources or what thoughts do you think?
Yeah, that's actually a really great question, because as I am navigating curriculum in entrepreneurship for youth, I myself, like, I'm currently creating my own curriculum, and trial and error, right? Like, figuring out what works and what doesn't. And
Mhm.
I've started to tap into like what resources are out there, so we can like bring it in. That's kind of where I'm at right now, is I myself am trying to figure out like what are the resources that currently exist, um, so we can kind of like take that and manipulate it in the way that works best for us. I think that there's a lot of digital resources out there.
Mhm.
If you want to, you could just simply Google like entrepreneurship for youth. They have a lot of digital resources. I'm just really big on kind of stepping away from the digital for a little bit and
Mhm.
doing a lot of hands-on resources. I think that we live in such a digital native world, and it's great. But if you want kids to really connect to entrepreneurship, you got to just take the digital away and do a lot of hands-on activities. So I've been actively creating my own activities that involves a lot of construction paper, cut and paste, conversation, inviting in entrepreneur guest speakers, whether they're older entrepreneurs or younger entrepreneurs. So I appreciate your question. I'm just still in the process myself right now of trying to figure out what works best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you saying step away from digital, because my whole platform is about people. People matter. Children need people and people need people. And that's why the last 4 years have been so because we were so disconnected. And so I think we need to bring people back into schools, into after school programs, and reconnect. I think that's important. The other thing I would say is, in terms of resources, is PASA still a thing? The Providence After School Association, they still around?
Yes, I believe that they are still around. Yes.
Okay.
I don't know. I believe they work with high school students. I'm not quite sure if they work with the younger crew.
Okay. So they've had a few variations. That's why I wasn't sure. So I would say maybe reaching out to PASA and see exactly what they are doing. The other resource I would say is the National After School Association might be really good for that school age, your 5 to 12, 13 year olds. That's the world I came from. I was in that world for a very long time. And then for your younger folks, I would say NACI those would be great. But I think I could see you in that national after school space. I think that's a really great organization to reach out to, and they have so many resources. And I think they would love, love, love what you're doing. All right. So before we wrap it up, is there anything you want to share with the audience? I know you have your mini kids fair coming up in October. Talk to us a little bit about that. And if there's anything else that you really want to share that I didn't ask you.
Yeah, so the Mini Kids Entrepreneur Fair is coming up October 12th this year from 11 to 1. It's going to be at the Waterfire Art Center. Last year it was at Farm Fresh, Rhode Island, the past 2 years in a row. Please, please come check it out. Register your children if you want them to get involved. It is such a vibe. It's an amazing time. We have a lot of fun that happens throughout the process. It's a 2-hour event. Some people want it to be longer. It's 2 hours intentionally because kids at that age, they're kind of exhausted from selling after that 2-hour mark. You would, if you were to show up, you'd be amazed by the different products that these kids create. They are so innovative. I actually brought a few with me to kind of show you some examples of some things that kids have made. So this one child created his business called Save the Surf. And what he does is he collects shells from Prudence Island and he makes his own keychains out of them.
Cool.
It's wicked cute.
Yeah.
We have kids who make their own t-shirts, inspiring t-shirts, kids who are authors of their own books, published books also, which is great. Kids who have made coasters out of Legos, kids who make their own lip gloss. It's just awesome, and they're super creative. So please come and check that out. It's such a good time.
Now, once kids make these businesses, do they stay within your network, or they kind of, once they make their product, they kind of go on their own? What does that look like?
Yeah, so they definitely stay within our network. We have kids who return every single year for the Mini Kids Entrepreneur Fair. But what's so awesome is, since the fair is annual, right? We're only offering a platform for kids annually. Kids are trying to find other platforms throughout the year. And I have kids who are actively selling and vendors at different events throughout the year, which is amazing. So we support them with connecting them with organizations or events so they can be vendors throughout the year.
Yes, I literally, the light bulb in my head, because again, I love kids, and literally the light bulb in my head said, at Christmas time, many centers do, Christmas fairs, things like that. How cool would that be to have, a bunch of children selling their products that people could buy as Christmas gifts? So yes. I thought that immediately in my head. I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe there is some type of way that we can help you guys with that. What day is your event on? Is it a weekend? Is it a weeknight?
Yeah, this year it's on a Saturday.
On a Saturday. Okay. So possibly we might be able to come out and do a little video and put it up on our YouTube channel. Yes. I would love to support you guys in some kind of way.
That would be awesome.
Yes, of course. So any final thoughts before we wrap up?
My only thought for anybody who's hesitant to get their child involved in this, right? Because sometimes parents may say, but I don't really know how to. I'm unsure, or the time that I have to put into it. I promise you, like, if you just give it a try, you'll start to see the growth within. It's like building blocks, right? And you'll start to notice not only the growth within your child, but within yourself, and you'll start to see how fun it is. Does it come with challenges? Everything in life comes with challenges, but you do not grow unless you go through those challenges, right? So embrace the challenges. They're healthy for your kid. They actually teach your kid a lot. So I just really encourage you to get involved. The goal is to expose children to entrepreneurship for many different reasons. And the primary goal is not to expose them so they can become entrepreneurs later on. We're not saying that. We're saying that there's a lot of valuable learning through entrepreneurship. And one thing that I can say is, we've collected a lot of feedback from our summer camp and from our fair, and parents were most amazed at the confidence growth level within kids. And confidence nowadays is key, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you do not have the confidence, it can hold you back from being as great as you can be.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a really great way to boost your child's confidence, to build community, and to really expose your children to a different avenue of learning. So I would just encourage you to just bring your kids to come check out the fair and then let them get inspired on their own.
I agree. So I know I have listeners in Warwick, West Warwick, Providence, Cranston. So you folks that listen to the show daily, you need to reach out to this young lady, see how you can connect your center with what she has going on, whether it's getting your kids to participate, whether it's getting your families to go attend. Let's support each other. This is an amazing teacher doing great work. And for those of you who are always thinking about how do I put some innovation in my program, this is a perfect example. Without that further ado, I would like to say, remember, it's the small details that make a big impact in the success of your childcare business. That's it for today. Have a great day. Bye.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Child Care Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Child Care Director's Chair.